It was still dark in Robinson, Texas, when a call came into 911. A woman's voice, calm but urgent, said her husband was in bed, shot in the head. The back door wide open. Guns missing. Within hours, that small-town burglary would unravel into a case so twisted that by the end, police would find the murder weapon at the bottom of a pond and the killer caught on camera trying to pull it back out. The caller was 31-year-old nurse Darlene Gentry. Her husband Keith lay motionless in their bed. Pink foam bubbled at his mouth, a sign of massive head trauma. Paramedics rushed Keith to Hillcrest Baptist Medical Center in Waco. He was placed on life support. 2 days later, he was gone. What began as a suspected burglary would soon unravel into a story of financial strain, hidden tensions, and a plan investigators say was chillingly calculated. Darlene Doskasil was born November 2, 1974, the middle of 3 sisters. She was known for her smile, her blonde hair, and a knack for making people feel important. She was prom queen, in the Flag Corps, and active in nearly every school event. She graduated from Yo High School in Cameron in 1993, studied dental assisting at Texas State Technical College in Waco, and dreamed of becoming a nurse. Keith Gentry, born September 2, 1974, in Waco, grew up in Robinson. Quiet, reliable, rooted in family. He studied drafting and welding, and later worked as an engineering assistant at a utility company. When they met in college, the attraction was instant. Their families approved. Marriage seemed inevitable, until 1997, when they split. Darlene moved to Dallas for a fresh start, but the city wasn't for her. Within a year, she was back. She and Keith reconnected quickly. By 1999, they were engaged. They married, bought a home next to Keith's parents, and started a family. Chase arrived in 2001, Cody in 2004, Cade in 2005. From the outside, they were the ideal couple. 3 boys, good jobs, strong family ties. But money was tight. Keith's original job paid well, but kept him traveling. Wanting more time at home, he switched to a lower-paying desk position. The bills didn't shrink. Darlene's spending stayed the same. New purchases, gatherings at home. Arguments followed. Keith grew frustrated. Friends noticed the tension, though no one suspected what was coming. Darlene told police November 8th began normally. Dinner and drinks with friends. Home by 8:30 p.m. Keith was upset. He'd found a restaurant receipt, another expense they couldn't afford. They argued. She left for a short drive, cooled off, and returned. Keith went to bed. Darlene stayed with the boys in another room, saying the youngest had been fussy. She claimed she woke around 5:15 a.m. to the dog barking, but went back to sleep. At 6 a.m., she said, she found the back door wide open and Keith in bed, unresponsive and bleeding. Some of Keith's guns were missing from their locked cabinet. It sounded like a burglary, but detectives quickly spotted problems. The shooting likely happened much earlier than 6 a.m. The blood pooling and Keith's condition suggested hours had passed. Some of the missing guns were stacked neatly outside, not stolen in a hurry. Only Keith and Darlene had access to the cabinet. And there was no forced entry. Then there was her reaction. A trained nurse, yet she didn't perform CPR. She stayed in the room with the children instead of guiding paramedics. The 911 call was calm, almost rehearsed, with a detailed timeline, more like a defense than a plea for help. When detectives pressed her, she invoked her right to silence and asked for a lawyer. A search of the Gentry home uncovered latex gloves in the kitchen trash. Inside one glove, a single .223 caliber shell casing, traces of gunshot residue, and DNA from both Keith and Darlene. Then came the motive. Keith's life insurance policy, valued between $500,000 and $750,000. On November 28, 2005, Darlene was arrested and charged with murder. Keith's parents posted her $50,000 bond, still believing she was innocent. Weeks later, Darlene contacted local landowner Robert Pavlovek. She wanted to buy his rural property near Aikestel, Texas. It had a pond she said reminded her of Keith's fishing dreams. Then she asked him to fill the pond. He found it odd and called police. Divers searched the pond and found a .223 caliber revolver, the same caliber as the casing in the gloves. But investigators wanted more than a match. They wanted proof she tried to retrieve it. Pavlovek told Darlene he'd need to drain the pond before filling it. The next day, under hidden cameras, she showed up in wading boots with a rod, poking exactly where the gun had been. The footage was the nail in the coffin.
February 2007, McLennan County, Texas. Darlene, now 32, stood trial for first-degree murder. The prosecution's case centered on that surveillance video, the gloves, and the staged break-in. Her defense called no witnesses. On February 8th, the jury found her guilty. She was sentenced to 60 years in prison. Prosecutors argued she wanted out of her marriage, wanted freedom, and wanted Keith's insurance payout. Her appeals have failed. She will be eligible for parole in 2037. In 2010, a judge gave permanent custody of the boys to Keith's parents. Darlene hasn't spoken to them since. Keith Gentry is remembered as a quiet, devoted father who chose family over career. Those who knew him remember not his death, but his life, the love he had for his sons, and the integrity he carried every day. The morning of November 9th began with a phone call. What followed took 3 boys from their father, divided a family, and left a small town forever changed. And in Robinson, Texas, people still ask, how well do you really know the person sleeping next to you?